Sensorimotor OCD is one of the hardest and most misunderstood subtypes of OCD. It really involves trying to get rid of bodily sensations that previously perhaps didn't really bother you too much at all. Typically what happens is we get fixated on the breath or blinking or swallowing or other things. And we tell ourselves, as long as I'm aware of that, I can't be happy anymore. I'm going to be anxious. I'm going to feel awkward. I'm going to feel ashamed. Whatever it is, and that tends to keep it in the forefront of our attention. Really, what's going on is there's a sensation, a bodily action that previously, didn't bother us. But now, for some reason, we've become fixated on it. Typically, these things are neutral. They only really become a problem when we attach an emotion to that sensation. Perhaps there's fear around it, anxiety, guilt, shame, social anxiety. And so whenever we think of that thing, we tend to get a lot of anxiety about it. And then comes the kind of third part to it, which is the story that we tell about that sensation and the emotion that's coupled with it. We begin to tell a very intricate and creative story, that it's going to ruin everything, that, as long as we're aware of it, we can't be happy. It's going to maybe stop us from being successful. It's going to maybe stop us from, having a happy relationship. There's all sorts of very negative stories that people end up telling themselves with sensorimotor OCD. And the reality is that they are just stories. And this is so important to understand. When we're really struggling with OCD, we tend to have these limiting beliefs, these narratives that we spin about ourselves, about our situation, about our ability to cope with difficult things. And if we're not careful, we completely disempower ourselves. We make ourselves feel that we can't overcome these things, that, we are kind of tied down in chains, and we're not able to overcome such a hard thing as sensorimotor OCD. Sometimes even that label can hold you back. I think sometimes we can hold on too tightly to various different labels, sensorimotor OCD obviously just being one of those. And we can tell ourselves, this is a really hard type of OCD. This one is the hardest. How am I going to overcome this? And before you know what's going on, you're caught up in that very self-defeating narrative about it. The reality is, and I see this all the time, you really can overcome sensorimotor OCD. In my program that I have specifically for this challenge, I'm seeing people making huge progress with it, not through completely getting rid of it and fighting it, but learning how to bring much more tolerance, compassion, and acceptance to it. And ultimately, a huge part of that, and this is really how you can learn to break free from sensorimotor OCD, is learning to let go of that narrative and that story that is holding you back about it. The reality is that, once you stop ruminating about the awareness so much, typically you do begin to kind of inhabit the present moment a bit more. You start being able to focus on your goals and values more. You start focusing more on the world outside of you rather than paying so much attention to what's going on with these sensations in the body. And over time, then, you do begin to kind of stop noticing it quite so much. It may not completely disappear, but there's a huge correlation between how much time we spend ruminating about the awareness and how much we're actually aware of it. Inadvertently, by ruminating about it all the time, which is actually us just trying to problem solve it, all we're really doing, unfortunately, is we're giving more energy to the problem. As you actually begin to starve it of energy, you stop giving it so much attention, and instead you focus your mind on other, more helpful things that you care about, your values and your goals. That's when sensorimotor OCD can really begin to take a bit more of a backseat in your life. So I really hope that you enjoyed that. And, if you are struggling, I do have a 12-week program specifically for sensorimotor OCD. It includes weekly coaching sessions, one-to-one. There's also videos, worksheets, meditations. Everything is specifically designed for sensorimotor OCD in mind. And so if you're interested in applying for that, you can by heading over to my website at robertjamescoaching.com. There's a link in the show notes. I really hope that you enjoyed. and I will see you next time. This video is for education only. It's not therapy or medical advice. If you're struggling, please speak with a licensed mental health professional.